7, 6.
Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Movie to Texas team down here in Houston, Texas, with Stephen Kim Holmes for another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. I am very excited to be here today and to welcome this week's guest who, after college, started her real estate career as a marketing associate and eventually got her real estate license. She has a passion for marketing, blogging, and providing a tremendous customer experience for her clients. She holds a ton of awards. We won't get into all of them. It would take too long. But she often speaks on digital marketing, technology, and video, and is a published author for Inman News. One of the things that impresses me about our guest today is her commitment to improving and elevating the customer experience for her clients. And that's definitely something that we'll dig into today. Please join me in welcoming Shannon Milligan.
Hey guys, thank you for having me and for the kind introduction.
Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it. Steve, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, definitely. Shannon, thank you. I just called you Shanigan. You know what? That's your
Everybody
new Instagram
does.
handle. Shanigan. You know what? We just want to say thank you for making time in your crazy, hectic schedule, especially amidst your medical procedure that we saw that you shared with us on IG stories. So if you haven't seen, be sure to check in his Instagram page, go through her stories, and there's something in there that just for some reason has me going back and rewatching. So it's quite interesting. Shannon, for those few people who don't know who you are, please share with us kind of your journey, your foray into real estate, if you may.
Sure. Well, I'm Shannon Milligan. I am a realtor here in the Richmond, Virginia market. I have been licensed for about 11 years, and I started out as an admin in Northern Virginia for a larger team. And prior to that, I was the marketing associate for 6 Caldwell Banker offices in upstate New York. So I really learned from the mailroom up on purpose. I started out in the marketing position, not knowing I was going to get into real estate, right? But then once I did move to Northern Virginia and I realized, hey, I think I'd want to be a realtor. And that was the mailroom up. So it was very purposeful, so I can learn contracts and all of that. And then when we moved to Richmond, we didn't know a single soul. Well, that's not true. We knew one person and they weren't going to hire me. And I had to figure out how to get business. So I started blogging on this site called Active Rain. And I did it on my website. And it was great. I mean, I sold 3 homes my first year. I know, woohoo! But I sold 30 the next year. And fun fact, back in 2012, 13, I was ranked 189,000 of websites in the entire United States. And let's just say one night in Greece, I got really upset that one of my photos was all messed up and I hit delete without any backup. And it'd be interesting to see where it would be today. So that's me in a nutshell.
Would you say, Shannon, that because of your extensive marketing background, you had, getting into the profession, you had almost a leg up on most other realtors? Because having that wealth of experience and knowledge with regards to marketing, I would, assume it would help for you to position yourself a little bit stronger, regardless of where you kind of ended up, Richmond being the case. Like, would you agree with that statement, or am I totally like in left field right now?
No, I think so, because I had an emphasis in public relations in college. So my degree is communications with an emphasis in PR. And so when I did move here, I was doing press releases for myself, anytime I would hit some kind of milestone, because you never knew if it was going to be a slow news day and somebody might pick it up. So would the average person know to do that? Probably not, because I don't think a lot of people even know to do that right now. So definitely had a little bit of an advantage in that. And then I also think I had an advantage by getting with the right team when I moved to Northern Virginia, somebody that taught me about blogging, somebody that was always on the cutting edge. Her name is Gina Tefano. And she just taught me the merits of giving back, give until it hurts. And then also, hey, this is how we market, and really working those components together. So I think I had a leg up in the PR department, but I also think creativity comes from paying attention to your surroundings. And I think we all can do that. I think we just all get inside our own heads and we create these stories for ourselves. And I don't think I have a leg up there. I think that just takes some courage.
Yeah, just before we started, you briefly shared about kind of what had happened. We were going kind of through your Instagram page, and I love it. I think it's great. And you kind of shared, there's not much, or there's no real rhyme or reason in regards to things organized. I love that. I think that is very authentic. I think it's transparent. I'm a huge, huge champion of that. But that had hijacked you a little bit in your career to have you kind of be like, you know what, I'm going to listen to some of those other external voices and not do you on Instagram. How did you kind of like push through kind of that noise and that negativity?
So I spent a lot of my 30s trying to be somebody that everybody else wanted me to be. And it finally occurred to me in my late 30s, early 40s, I'll be 45 next month, that life is too short and it's just too darn long to pretend you are something that you're not. And when I finally let down that guard of, this is who I am chaotic. I have a frenetic energy to myself. I know this about myself. And I realized that my vibe would attract my tribe. And honestly, I learned that from, of all places, Snapchat, because you cannot pretend to be somebody that you aren't for too long because it's too exhausting. And Snapchat really taught me, hey, just be you, do you, boo, and you will find the right people. And it's been a great journey. And video is really what helped me get over that hurdle, because I think a lot of people are afraid to do it. And I was, right? Like, but it's all about like, I didn't have my makeup done. That's how I look, y'all. Like, if you don't like it, turn the channel. Like, you can go watch somebody else, but my Truman channel is going to be about me and how I look. And I'm perfectly made. And I think when I started to accept that I'm perfectly made just for being born, then everything just kind of fell into place. And Snapchat helped me with that.
Wow.
Just out of curiosity with Snapchat, were you using that for business as well? Because I know some people use it for both. Was it more personal or more business or both?
Is there really a difference? It kind of all bled together. So it was mostly for business. And what was interesting, at one point, somebody came out with a list, the 19 Snapchatters to watch in real estate. And I was one of them. Dustin Brome was another. Gary Vee was like the number one on that list. And it was really weird to me because I thought, well, I don't get it. And even my husband was like, I don't understand why people are watching you. This is so strange. But I think it all kind of bled together, the personal. And I think that's really where I learned I am Shannon, right? I am business and I am pleasure and I am fun and I am anal retentive, and it all just kind of mixed together. And I think that that's what helped me grow an audience on there.
Well, and I mean, I don't think that we're friends on Snapchat. I don't really use Snapchat anymore, but like, I know,
Me neither.
I know just from your Instagram, like what I love about it. And like, we've never met in person, right? But like knowing each other from Clubhouse and then knowing each other from Instagram and just social, like, I feel like I do know you, and like, your reels and videos that you do with your family, and I know your son plays football and things like that. So it's like, I think that authenticity is just so important. And I think what you said as far as like the business and personal kind of, all being one and showing a little bit, of yourself is really important. So Steve asked a question earlier and kind of took me off my train of thought, but I kind of wanted to reel it back a little bit. So you said when you first started in real estate, you started on a team, right? And you did that for a while in Northern Virginia. And now obviously you're in Richmond, and have your own team, right? What would you say if you were a new agent starting out? Would you still do that the same way, starting on a team? Or what advice would you give to a new agent just starting out?
I think it depends on your personality. So I wasn't doing sales on a team. I was doing administrative work, office management work, because I'm fearful. I am very fear-based. I'm a fear-based person. I know that surprises people because I put myself out there so much, but the difference is I just have courage. I do it in spite of fear. So I was so fearful to screw up somebody's biggest investment that I thought, well, I'm going to be on somebody's administrative team so I can learn the contracts first. And I think if I were starting out, it depends on your disc. Not that people should live and die by that, because I also believe that you can live up to whatever you create for yourself, whatever reality. But some people want to be told what to do and will be great at, being a buyer agent because they like the structure of that. Myself, I'm a realtor because I can't work for anyone else. Let's be really honest. Like I can't stand anybody telling me what to do. I feel like people do it wrong all the time, if I'm being really honest. And I couldn't be put in that box for me. That being said, my husband is an SC. He is dying to be a buyer agent for me one of these days because that is his lane. And he's like, just tell me what to do and I'll go do it. We like to say that I'm the gun and he's the safety. I mean, that's kind of how that works. But if I were a new agent, if you're going to go out on your own, I would say hire a mentor. I hired one anyway. I paid 20% of my first 3 or 5 deals to this mentor. Yes, during the time it hurt because, 20% was a lot. But looking back, it was the best money that I ever invested in myself. I know my contracts like nobody's business because this 75-year-old woman is who taught me how to do it. And she taught me so well. I know how to write a really tight contract. So if I were starting out, bare minimum, get a mentor, figure out if you're going to be able to work with other people or if you're really going to be the rainmaker, and really take a hard look at yourself and say, okay, what's my personality like? And nothing's wrong. Whichever way you go is perfectly right for you.
That's great. I think that's fantastic advice. Get in, find a mentor, find a coach, someone who can show you the way beginning to get you to your goal much quicker. Kind of that the path of least resistance. Just to go back a little bit, Shannon, you talked about kind of breaking through the noise and using video to do that, to really kind of show who you are, highlight. I love when you labeled it your Truman Show. Like my ears just perked up. I thought that was a fantastic way of describing that. How, what advice would you give to realtors in terms of getting them to show themselves, show their Truman Show on social media platforms? Because Katie and I, we hear this all the time, Shannon. I'm sure you get inundated with this, is how do you get over your fear of video? Someone who's just starting out, what advice would you give to them to get them started on their video journey?
I would start on stories because that crap disappears after 24 hours. Like if you say something really bad, it's gone, right? Or you can go back and really delete it. But I really think people need to let it live. And if you start on stories, and if you are newer to social media, then you probably don't have a ton of followers anyway that are going to go to that. And it allows you to get comfortable with the camera. And I think a technical thing that I think too many people do, they look at themselves in the phone. See how my eyes went down? When you look at the camera hole, you can't see yourself. So you can't be judging and getting yourself all dorked up. So I think the technical part is look at the camera hole and then you're not paying attention to you. And that's just a technical thing. But start with stories. I have a hard time on Instagram with my grid. That's actually where I have a very hard time posting things because that stuff lives there unless I go and delete it, right? It's always there. I'm actually very fearful of posting there. That's where I feel narcissistic a little bit, hey, look at me. And I have to. I do those photos because I know that's what I have to do. But man, there's so much fear that goes into every post when I do it on my grid. But stories is a great place to start. And if you don't want to do that, then start at home on your iPhone. Maybe do a MTV style crib session of your own house to show a family member and send it to them. And then every week do it again and you will just get better and better and better.
I love that. So just to recap, I think this is incredible stuff with IG stories because that stuff doesn't last forever. After 24 hours, it's gone. I love that idea of looking at the actual camera hole. It's funny. A good buddy of mine, Michael Thorne in BC, he showed me this cool little hack. If you're doing video in landscape mode, to put your palm over the front of your camera, and only expose the camera hole as you're filming. So you actually can't see yourself at all during the filming process. So I thought that
That's
was
awesome.
really cool. Well, kind of back onto your tip as well. I think that's incredible. If I'm starting off, I'm a brand new agent. Okay, so I'm going to start to do video. Where do I go? What platform do you think for new agents, or sorry, as a new agent, that they should start, getting their feet wet?
Wherever you are active right now. So for me, that was Facebook. I had a comfort with Facebook. I think I'm pretty darn good with engagement on Facebook and my posts. So if I were to start video, I would go there because that's where I have the most supporters. I think what people forget is people want to see you win. And if you have the most supporters and friends on Facebook, then you should be starting on Facebook. If that's Instagram for you, great. If you're a little bit more buttoned up, that could be LinkedIn. I go on LinkedIn and I just start like falling asleep. I've tried. It's not for me. It is not where I should be. It's not my jam. So you have to be where you are most comfortable and where you're most consistent already with normal interactions, because your friends and followers, so to speak, will show up for you because they want to see you win.
I think that's so important. I think too many people will be like, oh, well, what's Steven doing? What's Shannon doing? And try to mirror what you're doing with no regard to where they have friends and family and supporters on social, right? So like starting where you're already active and where you have friends and where you already play, I think is really important and too often overlooked. So I appreciate that. We know you rock it on social. I'd like to kind of take this in a different direction. So one of the things as far as client experience, I know that we've been in a lot of Clubhouse rooms together in months past of talking about the client experience and talking about ways in which you work to elevate that experience for your clients. So I know some things that you do. I'm sure you do a lot more. So I guess if you have clients that are buyer clients that are coming in from out of state or things like that, what are some things that y'all do in order to try to elevate that experience for clients?
Okay, so let's just talk about the transaction process, because I have 3 different categories of who I love on. I have people in my sphere, then I have the people that I'm in a transaction with, and then I have my past clients. So you asked about the transaction. So if Katie was coming in to buy a house here in Richmond, first we would have our buyer consult via Zoom. And I would send you a handwritten note. And I say this all the time. I know that doesn't sound so exciting. Y'all, people aren't doing it. Trust me, people are not doing it. I was just in a Clubhouse room this morning where somebody said, hey, I got your note and it's on my mantle in my living room. And it meant so much to them. And people are not getting that connection with people. So handwritten note first. And then she says, hey, I want to go see 123 Main Street. Awesome. So now we're going to meet for the first time. Katie gets out of her car. I get out with this little brown paper bag that has handles, and inside it has the buyer guide that I wrote myself. It has a custom coloring book that I picked out all of the images for and I wrote little stories on each page about Richmond. It has a pack of crayons from the dollar store to go with that coloring book. It has a handful of Hershey Kisses, 2 water bottles, with water in them, 2 waters, not just water bottles, and some crackers and some beef jerky. And I put all of that in there and I hand that to her. I say, hey, I have a little gift. That immediately gets Katie on my side. It puts her at ease because somebody just gave her a gift. And oh, by the way, it keeps them from getting hangry and opening up the seller's pantry and eating their food. So, and I know I've done it myself. So, okay, now I've given her a little gift. Then I get Katie under contract and I want to send something, and I send either banner season or send out brownies. That's what I used to send. But now I partnered with a local bakery and I just email them and I say, Katie Day, 123 Main Street, this is where her address. And if she's local, they will hand deliver them with him wearing his little chef's hat. And if she's not local, they will mail it to her. And in the card, it just says, isn't it sweet that you've gone under contract? I'm really excited for you, yada, yada. Then we get Katie through the inspection and an appraisal process. And then we want to send something else. So we were sending this little custom luggage tag that had home on it, and the O was of Virginia and the heart was over Richmond, and then it would say Richmond, Virginia. Nice. And we would say it's congrats on getting through the appraisal and inspection process. Time to get your bags packing. Well, I'll be honest, that became a pain in the butt. Like I had to go mail those things every time. So now I go to Amazon and I send the packing tape gun with the tape. And I send that, and it has a little gift card in there. You know, Amazon has, you can do the gift, and it'll just say, congratulations, Katie, you know, for getting through this. It's time to get your bags packing. And then finally, at closing, I was doing customized gifts such as rocking chairs and fire pits and all of that. And it was stressing me out. So now what I'm doing it systemized. I will see Katie. I might take a bottle of wine or something at the closing, and I'll say, hey, congrats. Listen, when are you going to be in the house? Because I have a gift coming for you and it's perishable. So I want to make sure you're going to be there. So then I go home after the closing. Now I'm not like running around like a crazy person. We all know how that happens the day of closing. And I order Carlos Bakery. Carlos is the cake boss. And they will deliver this beautiful, like 6-7 layer cake. It's all striped inside with the rainbows. On the outside, it's all sprinkles. And then when you cut inside, not only do you see those 7 colors, but candy comes out of the middle. And it makes an impact, and it's consumable, which I know a lot of people will argue, you know, well, it needs to be something that they can think about you. Y'all, maybe, but for me, I'm not a consumable, or I'm not somebody that likes stuff. I want something that's consumable and it's going to be gone, but that will make an impact. So that is just a real quick synopsis of what I do. And the reason I do that is if Katie is at a party with you, Steve, and you see her and you had been my client and she's talking about buying a house and you say, well, who are you going to use? Well, I don't know. I was going to call a neighbor, blah, 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 blah. I want you to say, oh no, you have to use Shannon Milligan. And let me tell you why. And that starts the conversation.
I'm ready to move to Richmond.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready. 123 Main Street. It's mine.
Show me something. I want that cake. I don't know. I find that to be way more impactful than like a cutting board or a knife. Like if I'm cutting into a 6 or 7 layer cake with sprinkles on it and there's candy overflowing from it, I'm always going to remember you because no one has ever done that for me. Ever. It's
a wow +1. And, you know, for agents that send me referrals, you know, I know that you get your referral fee, right? And I was sending Starbucks, but I was like, no, that's not good enough. So now when I get the client that was referred under contract, I will send the agent wicked good cupcakes. And I'll say, hey, Steve, it was wicked good of you to refer Katie to me. Thanks for thinking of me. And that's what we now send.
Do you deliver to Canada?
Yeah, sorry, no. If Steve sends you a referral, Shannon, I want to put this on record. If Steve sends you a referral, I don't think they deliver to Canada, so you can just send it to me and I'll consume it on his behalf. So
I can get behind that. That's fine.
Yeah,
well, that's what friends are for. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So Shannon, you have a team. You have a team now. Walk us through kind of the steps of how that came to fruition, the evolution of, okay.
I no longer have a team. Okay. I will quickly. Okay. This market had my buyer agent out. I'm done. She was like, I'm finished. So it's me, myself, and I. However, I have a pseudo team. So I do have a transaction coordinator per transaction. I would never do life without her. I tried. And you will only do that once or twice before you drop the ball and you're like, I could have saved $3,000 by spending $225, $250 on that transaction coordinator. So I have an amazing, amazing transaction coordinator. And myself and a couple other agents, we're now starting what we're calling a co-op, not a partnership, not a team. They are all going to come over and brand under RVA Home Team because I had the little bit of a bigger brand. I hate to say that, but you know what I mean. And we're all going to keep our own business 100%. But when I get overflow, let's say y'all were on there and Katie might not be busy. I'll go to Katie and I'll say, hey, I can't take this buyer. Do you want it? It's a 50% referral fee. Katie has her own business, but if she's slow, she's going to be like, all right, sure. Because she's still keeping 100% of her own. And if Katie's too busy, I'll go to you and I'll say, hey, do you want this buyer? And then you'd be like, sure. And we are also sharing an admin and we are sharing a showing assistant and we're going to bring over another showing assistant. So we have some camaraderie and we have some support, but we get to keep our own individual businesses. That's what we're doing.
Wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic. What's the rationale behind doing this co-op system style versus like having a true team?
So one, we're EXP, and these cloud-based brokerages, if you don't have brick and mortars, you can somewhat feel out there on your own unless you build some systems around it. And so we just built the system. So now we feel like we're not out on an island to ourselves. So we're helping each other. And I know,
Nice.
you're with Real and you guys can do similar stuff. Like it's a buddy system. And it's nice to feel like somebody has your back. So that was first and foremost. And then we realized I was just turning over buyer agents. I was going through like the fourth one. I didn't have time to train. I'm like, there has got to be a better way. And so we started to talk about this, and it was like, well, why don't we try it? Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, no big deal. But best case scenario, it could be awesome. And I'll tell you, I've given one of these people several really good buyers, and I just got a nice $9,000 referral check the other day because of one of the buyers that he took. I didn't have to do anything for it, and increased his business. Now, guess what? He's super busy right now where I'm slowing down. So he can now send me things, or we've got this other girl. And so it was just really feeling like we don't have to take everybody's money. Everybody can win. How can we figure this out that everybody can feel good about themselves and still skin the cat a different way, but still have a skin cat? That sounds horrible.
Especially after watching your IG stories, like skinning things. Like, come on.
Oh, too soon.
How I roll.
Too soon.
Shannon, where do you see yourself in, where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years? I'm a huge proponent of goals, writing them down, seeing them. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Let's say 5 years, in the next 5 years, because that's right around the corner.
I know. I'm out in 5 years. I kid you not. And you made a joke earlier, but this is God's honest truth. I want to open an ice cream stand called Shenanigans because people do that all the time. You called it. And I'm actually taking an ice cream course, one of the ones that Ben and Jerry took at Penn State University in January. And I'm taking that course. Yep. And I plan to sell for the next 4 years, but my kids will graduate. They are in 9th grade. They just started high school. So when they graduate, I plan to be quote unquote done. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to be out there, on the hamster wheel of where's the next deal coming from and that sort of thing. Now, if one of you all called me up and said you're moving to Richmond, yes, I'm going to keep my license and I'm going to keep doing that. But I'm not going to be striving for icon status every time. And so in 5 years, I plan to be semi-retired from real estate. The other thing I'm trying to decide, other than the ice cream, is I may, if this co-op thing works out well, the seat that I should be in is the marketing seat. I would love to be doing the marketing and then distributing leads that way, still getting a referral fee from that kind of work that I'm doing, but kind of being a rainmaker in a different capacity. So those are the kind of my exit strategies.
I do think we need to touch more on the real estate stuff, but what kind of ice cream do you think you would want to sell? All
custard.
Kinds? Custard, okay.
Custard and
that was going to be my question. Like, what's the flavor of Shenanigans? Come on.
I love some cookie dough. I love some chocolate peanut butter, but nothing excites me more. And I get it every dang weekend. I eat so clean during the week just so I can have a vanilla custard hot fudge sundae with whipped cream and cherry. Oh my Lord. It's
classic.
So good. I love it.
Classic. I love it.
Straight up.
I'm very excited to follow this journey.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I also like that, Steve asked it and you're like, I have zero hesitation. I know exactly what I want to do. That's really cool.
I'm tired. I've been busting my butt for 11 years in real estate and I love it. I love what I do. I love what I get to do. And the body can only take it for so long. And I just don't see myself being a lifer.
Yeah. What do you think, or what do you see as being kind of a disruptor in the industry over the next 5 years?
Ooh, that's a really good question. For a while there, I thought it was going to be Amazon and, Zillow having agents. I no longer think that. I honestly think we're going to be just fine if we really understand our value. I think we're going to be our own disruptors if we keep, getting in our own way. So what I finally learned is there is a place for Walmart, and then there is a place for Nordstrom. And I want to be the Nordstrom of real estate. And I think if we agents focus on that we can't be disrupted. So if I called Nordstrom up and I was going to an event that night, this is a true story. I called them and I said, listen, I just fell behind. I did not get the dress. They said, what's your size? So I told them. They said, what colors are you looking for? So I told them. Walked in there. They had 6, 8 dresses in my size in the dressing room, ready for me to try on. Put one on, didn't fit, try the other one, finally find one. They cut the tags, ring me up, and I walk out the door. That is the experience. And if we don't continue to exercise our value and get real clear on that, we are going to be our own disruptors. And I think, in the absence of, value, that's where people have a problem with price, and that's where people have a problem with paying you something. So we have to just continue to innovate for ourselves and get real clear on what we offer. If one more agent says, yeah, but I showed 100 homes, a monkey can show a house. It's the value of a real estate agent is not in showing of the home. It's in the experience and the problem solving that we have learned along the way. It is in the transaction coordinating. Is the pilot all that important in flying a plane? Yes. And you know who has a much bigger role? There's traffic controllers, because they are making sure that you are not flying into each other. And we are traffic controllers, y'all.
I love that. Honestly, Shannon, you're amazing. I love how all of the different examples that you give, you're bang on. And just to add on to that, I truly believe that we are our own disruptors as well, especially if we look at each other as straight competition, as brokers and realtors and team leads and whoever. If we continue to look at every other realtor, broker, team lead as competition, I think we're doomed. I think as a profession, if we can collaboratively come together to up the level of professionalism, the experience that every single one of our clients gets, I think that is what keeps us safe, keeps us protected from all of the incredible technology that's entering into our industry. But anyways, that's me on my soapbox for a hot second, but I definitely support you on that as well, Shannon. I think it's incredible, and thank you for sharing that.
So, Steve,
you can ask the question. Last question.
Yeah.
It's my favorite question of the podcast.
So, Shannon, we already touched on a lot of very important points. One of them being, custard flavors and what your favorite custard is. But if it was your last meal on Earth, what would you be eating? And it could also be ice cream. But if it were food, what would it be?
Oh, I know this too, because I've thought about this. It's going to be pizza, like New York pizza. Pepperoni pizza with banana peppers on it. I'm sorry, it's my meal, y'all. Y'all can just fight me later on the banana peppers. Adam's peanut butter cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory, and then that hot fudge sundae from Jimmer's here. Well, it'll be from Shenanigans at that point, because hopefully I'm around for a while. But it is going to be a carb fest, and I will probably end up killing myself from the carbs that I'm ingesting before anything else kills me.
I love it. You're I think the third pizza we've gotten.
Oh man, I missed some carbs.
But you're the first one that's really tackled the meal. Most people say, hey, pasta, sushi, but you're talking like pizza with cheesecake with a sundae to wash it down. Like, that's a lot of thought, Shannon. Good on you.
All I think about is food and real estate. I kid you not. That is my freaking life. Matthew Weber gave me a shirt that says pizza and real estate. And I'm like, this is my life confined into a t-shirt. All I do is think about my next meal.
I think that's why we get along. I think that's why, I also enjoy food, as does Steve. That's why this is our last, that's why that's the wrap-up question of the podcast.
I love
it. Well, Shannon, we just want to say thank you so much for sharing all of your incredible insights, your experiences, just you being such a rock star human being. It was so refreshing to have you on the podcast. For the select few people who don't know where to follow you, where should we send them and where should they go to find more about Shannon Milligan?
I would say Instagram and Facebook, and I just changed my Instagram handle. It used to be RVA Home Team, and I just changed it to Shannon Milligan Realtor, because I realized again, I've said this for years and I never really thought it through. People are hiring me for me. People are looking for me. They're not looking always for that brand. So Shannon Milligan Realtor on Instagram, Shannon Milligan on Facebook. If you're looking at profiles on like business profiles on Facebook, it'd be RVA Home Team.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, and we do much continued success for the rest of 2021, much health and happiness. And thank you again for your time.
Thanks for having me.